Got this one.
Ready? Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon, everyone. How are you?
Good, Linda. How are you?
Very good.
Great. Good to see you all. Thank you for joining in today. We are opening the Baltimore County Police Accountability Board's meeting number 16 of May 2024. And the meeting is now called to order. Remind everyone that this meeting is being recorded. We're going to start with our agenda item number 1, and that's our roll call. District 1.
Pete Fitzpatrick for District 1.
District 2, yours truly, present. District 3.
Ralph Dennis, present.
Thank you, sir. And District 4. We have Mr. Chambers at this time. District 5.
Renee Stride, present.
And District 6.
Not present.
Scott's not with us at this time. District 7.
Dawn Deshawn, fewer present.
Hey, Dawn.
Both are at large here.
And
At large.
our at-large members,
Kara White.
Kara, and is Nigeria with us?
Yes.
Hi,
Nigeria
Nigeria.
present. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you all so much. We're going to get started. We hope everyone has a copy of today's agenda, and we're asked that we go to number 2, item number 2, to review and approve the April 16th, 2024 meeting minutes. You all have had opportunity to review them. We will entertain a motion to.
Nigeria has a hands up.
Nigeria, I'm sorry, you have your hand up, Nigeria?
Scott is here. I'm wondering if you want to recognize his presence.
Scott.
Thank you, Scott.
Yes, thanks, Nigeria. Hi, I'm here for District 6. Sorry, I'm a couple minutes late.
Okay, thank you, Scott. Thanks, Nigeria. And back to the review and approval of the April 16, 2024 meeting minutes.
Make a motion that we approve the April 16th minutes with necessary corrections if there are any.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's properly moved and seconded that the meeting minutes for April 16, 2024 be adopted. And it is so moved. Item number 3, our new business. I hope everyone has had opportunity to review the resume and information provided on our nominee for trial board member, for Ms. Sheila Lewis. And at this time, we will entertain any questions regarding Ms. Lewis's resume or her appointment for PAB trial board member. There being no questions or comments at this time, I would entertain a motion to appoint Ms. Lewis as the AB trial board member.
I motion that we
we're
appoint
not
Ms.
there, right?
Sheila M. Lewis as PAB trial board member.
Second,
Seconded.
thank you. It's been moved and properly seconded. And if there are any questions, we'll ask for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? With no opposition? Be it so moved that the Baltimore County Police Accountability Board hereby appoints Sheila Lewis to serve as a civilian member of the May 28 trial board for the Towson University Police Department. And thank you all so much. So while we're on this topic of PAB trial board members, we'd like to discuss a matter that I think would be very helpful to us all. And that is a suggestion that we would create, I lost my notes right here, a system for appointing trial board members from the PAB so that we would not necessarily have to be called every month, every other week, or as the need arose, but thought of a solution to that so that we could have persons at the ready It will avoid calling future meetings just to appoint the board members, and also retains the PAB's ability to interview and appoint members to receive training. This method that, we're considering and would like for you to consider would ensure that all members of the roster have the same opportunity to serve, and it would avoid any member, PAB member having to serve multiple times before another
Trial board member.
trial board member, sorry, would have opportunity to serve. So it'd be a more, a fair way of having and ensuring that all of the trial board members would be serving on a fair basis. And so it also would avoid scheduling issues where the PAB has insufficient time to meet and make an appointment. So the procedure, if I will turn it over to Henry just to explain how this procedure would go, but this is the impetus for coming up with such a wonderful suggestion.
Sure. So thank you, Madam Chair. The suggestion that's been raised by actually a few PAB members is that, to just elaborate on what Madam Chair stated, is that as it currently stands, the statute and the rules of procedure are open-ended in regards to the specific appointment of trial board members. The way it's written is the PAB shall appoint members to charging committees and to trial boards. It's not specified as to the how. And in doing some research, every jurisdiction is handling it a little bit differently. In some jurisdictions, they only have one civilian member trained for the trial boards, and that member serves on all of them. That is not what was recommended to the local jurisdictions by the state. So what we have done is we have, as everyone here is aware, created, as it stands today, a two-step process where there's a nominating committee of several members of the PAB who interview and make recommendations to the full board members who have applied through the Baltimore County website to serve on trial boards. There is not a hard limit on the number of people who can receive that training. There is not a hard limit on the roster of people who can be chosen. And then the way we've been doing it, as we have today, is to meet each time a trial board is requested to appoint a member. That process has been noted by several PAB members is somewhat inefficient insofar as we have to call these meetings. It also, I believe, from the administrative side, will very soon start to create headaches for scheduling, because the administrative charging committee is reviewing a significant number of cases every month, upwards of 20, 30, 40 in some cases. Inevitably, there will be more trial boards that are requested. The concern is that the way that those are requested is the department, whether it's Baltimore County Police, in this case, Towson University, any other state agency where the incident occurred in Baltimore County, reaches out and says, hey, we need a trial board member appointed for this date at this location. That can create issues if there's no PAB meeting scheduled, if there's a meeting, if the request comes in for a trial board member to be appointed for the next week. And I've told the agencies we should have adequate time to make sure, at the very least, that we can find a trial board member who's been trained and is available, and then schedule a PAB meeting, have sufficient time for an agenda to be posted, have sufficient time for members to review the applications and resumes. It creates a logistical issue. The suggestion has been to, per Madam Chair, and I can share the motion I drafted on her request, is to essentially take what we've been doing, which is going down the list of people who have been appointed to the roster by the PAB and received training, and kind of chronologically going based on when they completed their training, putting their name forward. So we've been doing that so far. The intent of this motion would be to put in the rules of procedure, which is silent as to the specific process, where instead of meeting each time, it would go to the next name on the roster automatically. And that would not be something that would be done secretly. It would be something where we would post the roster on the website. I would circulate, myself or Kelly as the executive secretary would circulate notice of the trial board notice of which individual would be is up next, so to speak, and no individual will be chosen for a second trial board until all the other members have received the opportunity to serve. The language that you'll see in the motion, I'll share it on the screen, and it'll be circulated via email and posted on the PAB website, specifies that the word opportunity, because in some cases, if let's say that UMBC, for instance, needed a trial board for June 1st, that was the only date they had available. A member who had previously not served on a trial board, if they're offered the opportunity, they may not be available that date. So we go down to the next member. But the idea would be that in theory, and ideally, nobody would serve on 2 trial boards until all civilians who are part of the roster have served on 1. No one would serve on 3 until all have served on 2, et cetera, et cetera. And the idea would basically be to take what we've been doing in practice and avoid the need to call a meeting each individual time. So I know that's kind of a complicated and convoluted process. I know Madam Chair and I are happy to answer any questions. I can talk about procedure. As far as the actual voting procedure per our rules of procedure, unless this is adopted unanimously today, what we would do is it would be put on the agenda for a vote on June 24th at the next meeting. And that would be when it would be added, if adopted by a majority of this board. But I think from a best practices standpoint, it would make sense to still withhold the vote until the 24th, just to allow members the time to review this. I'm going to share my screen so everyone can see what it is that I'm talking about here. Because it's a little bit of a wordy motion, and it would be adding the length, and I'll just walk through this here. 1.04B of our rules of procedure states it's under duties for the trial board, and the quote, appoint civilian members of charging committees and trial boards, and then add the following language. And I'll go ahead and read it. I know that's redundant with it on the screen, but for those who may not have the best computer or WebEx connection, a nominating committee shall be responsible for interviewing and recommending members of the public to serve on trial boards and charging committees. Upon recommendation by the nominating committee, members of the public shall be confirmed by the full membership of the Police Accountability Board. So that would still ensure that all members are interviewed and voted on to receive training by the board itself. It would not take away that power at all. A member of the public confirmed to serve on trial boards shall complete any required training. That would be training specified by the state, or if Baltimore County were to add additional training through the county council, they would be required to do that training as well. They currently are not required to do training by the county, but do receive 2 days of training from the state. Upon completion of their training, a member of the public will be added to a trial board roster. When a trial board is requested, the executive secretary and/or coordination manager or their designee shall inform the Police Accountability Board. A member of the trial board roster will be automatically appointed to serve on the trial board based on the date they completed training in descending chronological order and their service on any prior trial boards. No member of the roster will be appointed to additional trial boards until all members of the roster have had the opportunity to serve on the same number of trial boards, i.e., no member will serve on a third trial board until all members of the trial board roster have had the opportunity to serve on a second trial board. So long story short, this takes the sort of practical process where we've received a request for a board. I forwarded the name of a member who has to the full PAB who has not yet served in this case, because we haven't had enough yet to have every member have the opportunity, but we've been going down based on the chronological order of when they completed training. And this will essentially, it will streamline that process based on the conversations I've had with several members, including Madam Chair, that would avoid the need to call meetings solely for the purpose of appointment, which I know can be challenging at times based on the members' schedules. Chair.
So I know it's a lot to swallow at one time at this time, but we want to get this in front of you so you have time to look at it. And of all of what it says and what it will do, it will just bring simplicity to the process and streamline the process. It will not be so burdensome upon the PAB to have to report or come to meetings just for the purpose of these approvals as we have had to do. And so it's nothing, as Henry stated, that we're not permitted to do via the statute, but the statute doesn't speak to the specific specificity of what this process will bring for us. And I think it will make for a better procedural process for everyone. So do take the time, and if you have any questions right now, any ways that you think that we should consider things, and what we plan to do is vote on it, as Henry said, a more practical vote would be to hold this for a vote on June 24th, but we just want to, if we could have everyone to weigh in on your agreement at this time, we move that we would just bring this matter to a board vote at the June 24 meeting.
So yes, Madam Chair, that does require a motion to
Change the
add it
rules.
to the agenda, and then a motion, and then that would require a second to vote today. And the vote to actually add it would be next month.
Correct. So it would just be an agenda item vote today, but then next month, vote on it as a rules of procedure change.
Madam Chair, just a quick question, just so that I can connect the dots here. We get a redacted version of those applications. Who does that initial reviewing of the applications and make those that editing?
So I can speak to that. The redaction is done. We have sort of a standard, Baltimore County has a standard redacting process for applications when they're circulated in public forums. So because the Police Accountability Board meetings are public and not closed, the notion is that they should be redacted to remove information. So it's not something where I'm saying, oh, well, this information should be public and this shouldn't be. It's sort of a standard name, well, not name, address, phone number, email address, and then personal identifying information. The nominating committee, which meets separately and does not represent a quorum of the PAB, they do review the unredacted versions.
Okay. That helps. Thank you.
So I just had a question procedurally. If we have changes to this proposal, is that something we should raise now, before the next meeting, at the next meeting?
So what I would recommend procedurally based on our rules is that, and certainly, Scott, they can be raised now, but if there's specific language, if you forward it to me, I can make sure that it work with Office of Law to make sure that the language is consistent with county code in general. And then there can be a motion to amend the language formally at the next meeting and have that be incorporated into whatever is formally adopted, or again, if the board votes to adopt it.
Okay. And then I'll just say generally, I guess for purpose of that, I think first off, it's a great idea. I think I've voiced some support of this in the past. I only have a little concern about the way in which the last paragraph is operating, particularly if, and I don't know what our current roster is as far as number of people and or if they've already served on multiple trial boards, but just sort of thinking long term down the road, it might result in essentially if we have people that are already trained that have been on 2 or 3 trial boards, every time there's a new person, that delays them getting back on a trial board. So I'm not sure if, I guess the last portion about everyone having to had the exact same number of trial boards is necessary. I do like the provision about making sure everyone gets one initially. I also think it might just become a little logistically difficult because if some people have 3, then some have 2, and some have 1. They get a new person in. Trying to kind of do the math on making sure it's even might just become a little bit of a headache for whoever's handling it. But it's something I'd like to think about, and I could propose. And then the only other, I guess, concern, for lack of a better word, we mentioned that this might be made public, or I guess the list of people is available. I would also have a concern because I believe, and please correct me if I'm wrong, since both sides have an opportunity to strike someone, if you would then be giving information about essentially you could look at who's next up and, do outside research. So which I don't believe, and maybe I'm wrong, that they currently would know who potentially, if you struck one individual, who would be the next person up. So I would want to make sure that that's not, an opportunity for someone to, start looking into trial board members and estimating who they think might be a better one. So that was something I just want to make sure is addressed as well. But I will think about it. We circulate a
And
proposal.
Scott, just logistically, as to your first point, all but one now with the appointment of Ms. Lewis to the Towson University Board, all but one member who has received training has been appointed to a trial board. That member who received training prior to Ms. Lewis completed hers, I did reach out to that individual ahead of time. He was unable to serve on any of the dates available for this trial board. So right now, of the 6 who are fully trained, 5 have been appointed. 1 has had the opportunity to and has not been able to. So we're not at a point where this would be changing what's already been. It's not something where 1 member has served on 3 and 3 members have done none, right? So it wouldn't be, just speaking logistically internally, I don't think it would, as it currently stands, create an issue. And I also know that some agencies have adopted rules that don't permit strikes. So right now, the state agencies, I don't believe, do, from my conversations with the organizers of those trial boards. I do understand, I think logistically, also, and just to kind of give the way that it goes from here is that the coordinator is then informed of the individual's name. And so the attorneys for both the agency and the officer, as it stands, do have the opportunity. They do know who it is ahead of time. So I don't know if that makes any difference in that consideration, but just wanted to make sure that there was full transparency on the fact that they do know ahead of time who the individual is who will serve, the civilian member who will serve.
Thanks for your comments, Scott. Anyone else have a comment or question at this time? We want to at least get this in front of you and give you time to consider it. So we would just entertain a motion at this time just to have it placed on our agenda for the June 2024 meeting.
I so move that be placed on June 24th agenda.
I second.
Thank you. It's been properly moved and seconded, and so we will, that this agenda become an agenda item for the June 2024 meeting regarding amending the rules of procedures regarding the trial boards to include the language in the proposal. Are there any questions? Are we ready for the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing no opposition, the motion is carried. And thank you so much for your patience in this matter. We're going to move now to our public comment section. And you have any comments or would like to speak? Hi, Peter. How are
Yes.
you?
Peter, do you mind if I put the timer up just so? We've been doing the timer for folks who've been commenting on WebEx, but I want to make sure that it's consistent across. So let me pull up my... Sorry. Stop sharing momentarily. Reset. Okay.
Just a brief question. For the record, my name is Peter Richkus, and I live in West Housen. When you said, Henry, that when resumes that come in through the county process are made available to the public or publicly, something like that. So where would I find out more about Miss Lewis, who's just been appointed?
So I think that, put it this way, the resume system, and I'll pause while we do this. The resume system is not public, but if a member of the public, like in this circumstance, I can share you a redacted resume, and members who, actually, I think that Ms. LaValle brought them to the meeting for that purpose, so that if a member of the public comes to a meeting like this, they can have access to the redacted
Okay,
version.
great.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Is there anyone online?
No.
I don't see any. Thank you all so much. We entertain, if there's no other business, we would entertain a motion to adjourn. Just want to state on the record, though, our next meeting is scheduled for June 24, 2024 at 12 noon. And again, in room 118 of the Towson Historic Courthouse. And now entertain a motion for adjournment.
Before we do, Madam Chair, am I correct? Is that your last meeting?
It will
As
be my
chair?
last meeting. Yes, sir.
Okay, will you continue to
It's
serve?
cuckoo clock.
That's unfortunate.
I'm sorry. You
Will you
interrupted by the
continue-
cuckoo clock.
Will you continue to serve on the board?
I will not be serving on, I'll be on another board for Baltimore City, not police department related, but another board for the Monumental City Bar Association and Historic Douglas High School Alumni Association. I've been named as their legal department head.
Sorry to lose you.
I have reservations. I've been pulled a couple directions, but I'll save my comments for next month. I won't be able to do it twice.
Okay.
But
I'll
thank
make a
you.
motion. Sure. I'll make a motion that this meeting be adjourned until our scheduled meeting on June 24th, 2024.
I'll second.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 So carried. Be it here, so moved that the Baltimore County Police Accountability Board hereby adjourns until June 24, 2024 at 12 p.m., at which time it shall meet in room 118 of the historic Towson Courthouse and via WebEx. Thank you all. We are adjourned.
Thank you. Have a
Thank you.
wonderful day.
Thank you.
All right.
Take care.
Take care.